Oh, thank you, Nan, for recording. Um, Basically, with the community of practice meetings, we want to record kind of the intro and any kind of panel or folks that we're highlighting to share some strategies. But then once we go into breakout rooms, those will not be recorded. So really, just the first half of the meeting we will capture and then send back out in case folks missed it. But we're very excited about the real kind of authentic conversations that we'll be able to have together, and just thinking through this important topic and ideas that everybody brings. So I'll share a little bit about our work to date with student basic needs in case you happen to be, relatively new to the conversation. We are going to have some wonderful guest speakers sharing just a quick panel discussion today on some strategies related to basic needs screening and benefits eligibility screening for our students. We'll have breakout rooms and then sharing kind of the thoughts from those conversations, and then we'll wrap up. And so we'll be done by 3 for sure. All right, so I told you a little bit about the collaborative. We launched in October of 2021. Our purpose is really to help our college and university partners to build capacity on your campuses, really doubling down on your own initiatives around student success and helping you to accelerate progress by bringing folks together around common priorities, sharing new ideas, scaling what's working, and then ultimately trying to build up a culture of continuous improvement. Um, our goals are your goals, which are all, to increase the completion rates of our students, to eliminate equity gaps, and then to ultimately enhance the economic mobility of students in Kentucky. Just to tell you a little bit more, our theory is that we can achieve more together than any of us can do on our own. That is the premise of a community of practice. The collaborative facilitates various communities of practice on different topics. The community of practice around student basic needs has been around for a while, and really it was identified early on in our conversations with campus partners about what was really keeping them up at night. And so we've been able to come together around this common challenge, bring together all of the wonderful expertise and knowledge and best practices from around the state, and share those best practices, create new knowledge through some research that we've even been able to do. Oh my. You guys seeing that? Apologies. And then even looking at how we can collaborate together as we move our work forward. So a lot of the work that we're doing around student basic needs was really put together and identified by an action network, which was a group of about 50 stakeholders across the state who came together, looked at data that was provided to us by the Kentucky Center for Statistics, really worked closely with faculty from 3 universities in Kentucky on research around asset mapping, all of the basic needs supports available, and then talking directly with students through focus groups around their experience accessing basic needs supports, and then also looking at our policy environment around many of the public benefit programs and how we could potentially leverage those to increase access to basic needs supports for students. So through the work of this action network, the group produced a report that both outlines, I think, a really good sense of where we are and where our students are in their experience of basic needs security, as well as several recommendations that we'll be driving over the next 3 to 5 years to really increase the financial security of our students. So you are welcome to, I hope that you have seen the report and have dug in. We'll definitely provide a copy or a link to the report in the chat, as well as in our follow-up communication with you. But basically, our report is striving for 2 primary objectives. One is to increase access to basic needs supports for current students, and the other is to increase access to post-secondary education for individuals receiving state supports. There are 8 priority recommendations that you are welcome to kind of learn more about as you would like. We're really going to focus today on recommendation number 1, which is to implement basic needs screening and benefits eligibility screening for students. So I just wanted to take 2 extra minutes and give a little bit of a why, and kind of how did this recommendation emerge? Well, there were several pieces of information that were really, I think, influential in identifying this as an important thing for us to be doing. One, we know that more than half of college students are struggling to meet their basic needs. They're balancing many costs, not only cost of living, but also tuition and cost of college. They're not only, with their time, they're balancing their coursework, they're balancing their jobs, their family. We also know that students often wait until the last minute or they wait until they're really facing a pretty significant challenge to reach out for help. And so they're reaching out for help as opposed to proactively um, being able to address an issue before they're almost out of time. We also know from the research that students are reaching out to whoever they trust most on a campus. So that may or may not be your point person for student basic needs support or a person who even is aware of basic needs resources available to students, but it's who the person really trusts that they want to go and share personal issues and challenges with. And then we also know that from our focus groups, many students, as well as many of our own staff and faculty on our campuses, are largely unaware of all of the resources and services that are available to them. And that includes both of our campus based programs, community resources, which may be available to them, as well as the state benefit programs. And so, just a lack of awareness is a really important issue that we can combat. And just two more slides on this, setting the stage here. When we look at accessing of public benefits, so SNAP benefits or potentially KTAP or TANF, the CCAP, the Child Care Benefit Award, or other public benefit programs, um, the students that receive a Pell Grant is sometimes a proxy for their financial eligibility. There are multiple elements to eligibility screening, not just financial eligibility. But when we do look at students that receive Pell grants at our colleges and universities, only a small percentage relatively are actually also receiving public benefit support. And so we think that we may have a SNAP gap here in Kentucky where more students are eligible than are accessing the support that's available to them. And so this is another one of the metrics that we really hope to move the needle on in increasing benefit benefit participation among students who are eligible. And then just to kind of showcase what difference this could make in a student's total cost of attendance. I mean, because that cost of attendance number factors in food, it factors in all of their living expenses and essential expenses. And so if you can support a student to bring down the cost of food, then you're freeing up money to help them support their educational journey. And so even just for a single individual, that could mean a $3,300 reduction in their unmet need. So that's kind of and that's just for the SNAP program specifically. But there's a lot of other really great information out there, and we know that a lot of our colleges and community partners have been doing really incredible work already. And so I thought that we would hear from a few of them to get us started and kick us off. So after we hear from some of our partners, we're then going to go into breakout rooms. We'll have about 3 breakout groups and just continue these conversations for 20 minutes or 25 minutes, however much time we're able to put in there, just to see what other ideas y'all have come up with, and then we'll share out as a group. Okay, so I'm really excited to introduce our partner panel today, who are going to share some strategies that they have been able to use to help increase basic needs screening and benefits eligibility screening for students. Our panelists include Sarah Brady with the Family Scholar House in Louisville, Kentucky, Jessica Kern with Maysville Community and Technical College, and Ashley Shoemaker, who's the Director of Outreach and Enrollment for the Family Health Center. Let's see, Nan, would you be able to pin our wonderful panelists? Might actually stop sharing here so that we can get them pinned. Okay, so I wanted to start off with Jessica first. And Jessica, I was hoping, feel free to share more about yourself if you'd like to and your role at Maysville, and then share a little bit about some of the strategies that you have used to increase access to benefit screening and basic needs screening for students.
Sure. Thanks for inviting me to participate today. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm Jessica Kern. I'm with Maysville Community and Technical College. I'm the Chief Officer for Enrollment and Student Services. And, I'd like to say that includes a lot of the out of the classroom support services for our students. So, traditional things like admissions and financial aid, but also student success falls within the department, falls within enrollment and student services. And we have success coaches, like a lot of colleges do, that work with at-risk students. But like a lot of schools, what we have seen when we've looked at our institutional data is that the students who leave us are not leaving because of really academic or even financial aid issues. It's because life happens and they're not able to take care of the life things while trying to also be a student. So we started really trying to focus on those non-academic needs. Let's see, almost 4 years ago, we got a small grant from CPE, and we hired our first ever social worker. And our plan was her role was going to be the person who helped students apply for benefits that they may be eligible for, but they weren't currently receiving. She started in August of 2019. And then, a few short months later, as we were getting, kind of our plan in place, COVID happened. And all of our plans changed. And so we really had a hard time connecting the availability of the support that she had to students during COVID. Even though we knew probably that's when students needed help the most, it was hard to make that connection. And so we've kind of reshifted that plan. And, surprisingly, the key for us, where we've seen the most success, is utilizing technology to do that outreach and that connection. And I know that probably seems a little cold to think that we're, I'm talking about technology when we're talking about human support. But we have seen more connections being made when we use a text messaging platform. We use Signalvine here at Maysville. And with partnerships with Family Scholar House, we're able to text our students directly and connect them to and I'm going to get the name of the survey wrong, but it's like the needs assessment survey that Family Scholar House implements. And so whether it's being able to complete that without actually raising my hand and talking to someone, that's increased that, or if it's the use of technology, we try to send it out at least twice a semester. And Sarah sends us reports of number of students who have filled it out. And of course, when right after we send the text message, there's a spike in the number of our students who complete it. And then that kind of hangs out for the next day or two. So we try to send it, around the beginning of the semester and, after midterm before we get into finals week. And just as a reminder that, hey, we partner with Family Scholar House and they are here to help you access any resources that you might be eligible to receive. And so they fill out this, I'm not going to steal Sarah's thunder because she's probably going to talk about this. They fill out the survey. Family Scholar House works with them. We also get the list back and we do kind of like a soft follow-up because we don't want them to feel like, oh, you've raised your hand and now we're going to, we're going to stalk you until you allow us to help support you. But we just reinforce that we're here because our success coaches do help with non-academic needs. And a lot of times that referral is back to Family Scholar House for support, but at least it is a live person that they can talk to. And we've seen, when we had a person on staff who was really dedicated to that, we were looking at probably 25 to 30 students a semester who were really using her services. And typically when we do the text message follow-up with the Family Scholar House survey, we have over 100 students who are completing that. So still a small population when you look at our total enrollment, but a much better result the more we do it and the more we fine-tune our message and stay consistent with trying to link students to that survey. The other technology piece I just wanted to mention real quick is, we've had a similar situation with connecting students to mental health services, and supporting that piece of their non-academic support. And we are also utilizing a new app called Talk Campus. It's 24/7 peer monitored. Clinicians do monitor the site, and kind of, I say, swoop in if the conversation kind of gets triggered. But again, we found that more students are utilizing that app than they were when we were trying to encourage, walk-in traffic or more of a live support. So, we continue to monitor and tweak and try to get better each semester. So I'm not sure that either one of, these, we'll continue to change and evolve. But for right now, it seems like finding that good middle ground between using the technology resources that we have to, make students aware of services, and then having a good plan in place on what to connect them to has really helped. We've seen, increases in retention this semester. Enrollment looks good, and a lot of that is readmit students who are coming back to us. So, we just continue to try to figure out, we provide great academic support, but how do we help with non-academic needs? So I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody else today as well. When I see questions in the chat. There is a cost for the Talk Campus app. So, and that is a local contract that we have. It's not a KCTCS statewide. I'm sure there are other providers out there. Talk Campus was the one that we went with, and I have good feedback from them. And Signalvine is the text messaging program that we use across KCTCS. So it talks with our PeopleSoft, our student data management system. So those are the two, and I'm not necessarily not endorsing, or I will just say from our experience, we've had good feedback from Talk Campus and Signalvine. Are there other questions I can answer or expand on anything that I've mentioned? Lily, anything else you think I should touch on?
I think that's great. And we'll go ahead and transition to Sarah, especially since you referenced a partnership with Family Scholar House. So, Sarah, would love for you to tell folks a little bit more about the work that you all do, and how you specifically support college students with basic needs and benefits eligibility screening.
Yes, and I apologize. I'm on the mend of a lovely upper respiratory infection, so I apologize. But I promise I feel a lot better than I sound. But Family Scholar House, we're primarily known across the state for our residential programming, and that is really about serving a very unique intensive services for a very unique population, and that is single parents and those who have aged out of foster care. But right before COVID, we started to look upstream and understand that while yes, our mission is to end cycle of poverty for families and help support them towards self-sufficiency, we understood that we will never be able to house our way out of that problem. And so really looking upstream on how we can have earlier interactions to intervene sooner. And so that's really where our partnership with colleges and universities started to sprout. And through various different things we accept inbound calls on behalf of the students from the colleges that we're partnered with, where we're able to help connect to resources in their area, but to also do our benefits assessment or our community needs questionnaire that Jessica mentioned. But we also do very targeted outreach, as Jessica mentioned, from text messages from schools, outbound call campaigns on behalf of the schools to students who may be at risk. But the big piece about it is to not just figure out what benefits they're currently receiving and what they may be eligible for, but all of those life things. So we use the Arizona Self-Sufficiency Matrix. We use 18 of the 21 domains in our community needs assessment, and that's looking at everything from housing and income, employment, mental health, adult education, child care, life skills, all of those basic necessities, your social determinants of health, if you will, that someone needs to be considered fully self-sufficient. And as we're having the conversation with the student, or as a student is filling out the assessment, they are they are grading themselves kind of on a scale of 1 to 5, or 0 to 5 if they have nothing, if they don't have children in that category. And so what we're looking at is the total matrix score. And as someone is progressing in their programming, as they are receiving credentials, graduating from their associate's degree, continuing on to a bachelor's degree, so on and so forth, progressing towards a career attainment and post-secondary education, we're getting these updated matrices every 6 to 12 months so we can track their progression in a really great way to kind of explain what this data is that, in semester by semester, we're all getting our midterm grades and our grades that go in the final grade on your transcript. And that's how you know how you're doing in your classes. But no one really tells you or gives you a grade of how you're doing in life. And so that's really where this comes into place. And so when we're working with students who are they're getting to that point where it's like, I've tried so hard and it seems like nothing is going my way. And we'll do an updated matrix with them and we'll show them their progression. And we'll talk about how this was what your score was last time and this is what your score is today. And this is how hard you've worked to increase this 6 points or this 8 points or whatever it may be. And really then be able to show them how far they have come since within that 6 to 12 month period, however much it's been. But the great thing that we do is we share all of this information back with the schools that we're partnered with so they can make true impactful change on their campus. One great, and if you've heard me talk about this before, you've probably heard me share this example, but it really is such a, life-changing example for so many students. In 2021, when we started our partnership with Elizabethtown Community and Technical College, we started collecting this data. And we started in the start of the fall semester, so in August and October, we came back and we did that first report of data sharing. And 52% of their students were experiencing a food insecurity. 52% of the students that we had data for were experiencing a food insecurity. And of that 52%, like 80, I think it was like 86% of them were non-traditional students. Majority of them had kiddos at home or they were adult learners who may have been taking care of adult family members, whatever it may be, but they were non-traditional in whatever form that they were. And as we were talking about the food insecurities on campus, we were talking about their food pantry. And at the time, they had a very small pantry that had a lot of like lunch items for students to eat while they were on campus, and really helping them understand the barriers that their students were experiencing. They were able to make just a small change in shifting what it is that they're asking for from donors, creating a full comprehensive pantry that not only has household items and cleaning supplies and personal hygiene items, but also having the capability to leave with a full meal to be able to take home and provide for their family is one big change that has been able to come out of looking at the data that we're collecting on behalf of the colleges for their students. Oh, I think you're on mute, Lily.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, so I know we have a few minutes left of our panel. Ashley, would love for you to share a little bit about your work as a connector and how that also you've partnered with colleges and universities in the past.
Well, thanks for having me. So my name is Ashley Shoemaker. I am the Outreach and Enrollment Director at Family Health Centers in Louisville. We have 7 locations around Louisville. We are a federally qualified health center, and I run our connector program. So if you've not heard of a connector, we are trained and certified by the state to assist individuals and families with applying for Medicaid, qualified health plans on Connect, as well as SNAP and CCAP. So we help people, submit the applications, upload whatever paperwork is needed, report changes to their applications, and we can also assist them with renewing their public benefit. So connectors are a great resource to have. We will see anyone out in the community to assist them. It's especially important right now with Medicaid renewals starting up again. A lot of individuals and families need to take action to complete their renewals and keep their coverage. So I really see the role of a connector as being a mediator between the individual and the family, and the state that determines eligibility. So we can really advocate for people to make sure that they get all of the benefits that they are eligible for. And I'm here at the request of the Kentucky Primary Care Association. They have received a contract with the state where they will be placing a connector in each of the community and technical colleges around the state. And so that is something to look forward to have someone on your campuses who can help directly apply for these benefits.
Thank you, Ashley. And even if a campus doesn't have a full-time connector who's going to be dedicated to working on their site, you all visit any of the other universities in the state as well, pretty regularly, it sounds like.
Yes, there are state contracted connectors that do outreach. Let me put in the chat the website where you can find a connector in your area.
Thank you, Ashley. And so that person is an expert in all of the different public benefit programs, and they can support students in doing a screening for eligibility, but then also assist with the application itself or renewal or whatever the individual may need.
Yes, yeah, and our services are totally free. We are not insurance agents. We're not going to direct someone towards a particular plan or try to sell them something. It's a no cost service that we offer.
Awesome, thank you. Well, that was exactly what I was hoping to do, just plant some seeds with some of our great state agency partners, community organization partners, and hear about what great things are already happening on our campuses. And now to give you all time to kind of break out and share what you may be doing with one another, or to ask questions of each other, and just try to think about what else could I possibly be doing to really proactively reach out and connect students to this helpful information. We're going to break into 3 rooms, and we'll have about 15 minutes of small group conversation, and then we'll come back to the large room, and I would love to hear what were some of the big takeaways or ideas that were shared inside the small groups, and we'll stop the recording.